rescue op. Save the dinosaurs from an island that's about to explode. What could go wrong?
Jurassic World, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And in this episode we're discussing minute 24 of Fallen Kingdom. Before that, David heading over to Jurassic-Pedia.com, we got a very lengthy and a little bit older article up here on the Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park and the Jurassic franchise. Something that's sorely missed from these new films, the first two anyway, Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. But there is a little write-up in here that does include the coloration that we see in the Lockwood estate as well, and the questioning whether the discoloration is something from an earlier version of the animal that was created before the one we get in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, there's been like several different variant colorations that we've gotten over the years. The one, there's of course the classic, kind of like Coke classic, and then there's the one from Jurassic Park the game that came out in 2010 or 2011.
Yep.
And that one is based on some earlier concept art where it's has a little bit more reddish tones. And then of course there's the ones in Dominion, which I guess they're retconning as males, that are a bit less vibrant in their coloration, which kind of doesn't make sense because the males are usually the more vibrant ones.
Yeah, I still get a xenomorph vibe from them. Just maybe because they're in a lot of the night scenes in that in Dominion, but they seem to be missing a lot of their colour. But
yeah. Well, even the animatronic was like much less colorful than the original animatronic was.
And I'm stuck reading it again. But yeah, quite a lengthy article up here on one of my favourite animals in the Jurassic franchise, and it was good to see it back in Dominion for one last hurrah. But head over to Jurassic-Pedia.com to check out that article and many more.
Did my mother ever visit the park?
Once. A long time ago. She would have saved them too, you know. She would have saved them all.
David, ready to get into minute 24?
Yeah.
Alright, minute 24 of Fallen Kingdom opens with Maisie trying to kill Iris and ends with a shot of the Jurassic Park Main Gates. Sort of. As we open on minute 24, Iris tells Maisie that her grandfather's been asking for her, and Maisie sounds excited to hear this, so I wonder how often they actually interact if she's told not to go near his bedroom and that, and only comes when she's summons or something like that. But Iris tells her to go and see her grandfather, and then it's time for a bath, and we get a bit of a pronouncing.
Please, English girl.
You crazy Americans having to over enunciate the A and everything. I can't recall if she has to say bath in Dominion. Bath.
I don't remember either. It does feel like her accent got heavier though, so.
Yeah, I do remember we talked about that when we talked to Minnie about how, even though she's been with Owen and Claire for 3 or 4 years in the woods, it seems like her accent's got more English. But that's when we cut to Lockwood sitting up in bed looking through the old photo album that we get to see a lot more of in Dominion. We can see many photos of a child. Assuming it's Maisie, but with the age of these photos and the book itself, I'd say it's probably Charlotte. Baby photos of Charlotte here, or kid photos of Charlotte. There's some text next to them as well, but it's sort of scribbled, bad handwriting. The only one I can really make out is playing in the garden with one shot of the girl in the garden. So I can't recall if we get more of this book later. I think we get one.
We do in Dominion.
Yeah, I know
we get some extra shots that we haven't seen before, like the original Maisie in the at Jurassic Park in front of the gates.
Well, we should call her Charlotte.
True.
It's not at this. Well, at this
I
stage,
remember her name. I knew I remembered it started with a C, but it was like Maisie.
But sort of at this point, and even by the end of the film, when we learn that she's a clone, we assume that she is the clone of Maisie. It's just called a Maisie again, as all good guys and bad guys normally do when they clone something. They call it the same thing, or Bob too. I think we do get a shot later on with Maisie and Iris, and Iris looks a lot younger than she does now, but Maisie looks the same age, so obviously a young Charlotte there. And it's sort of weird that Lockwood lost his daughter, and Maisie's the only thing that sort of survives of her. He knows she's going to grow up to be just like Charlotte, yet there just seems to be a distance even here when she comes into the bedroom. He tells her to come sit by me, and she still only comes in and sort of sits at the end of the bed, not right up beside him. But then I suppose too, I remember when I was young, I was scared of grandparents, especially when they spit their teeth out at you, things like that. So, and he's sort of not that healthy either.
It's funny because I had the opposite reaction. My eldest aunt had dentures when she was already in her 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to actually request her to take them out because I thought it was funny.
But Maisie tells him that she's been playing Safari in the library, going all the way through the Cretaceous to the Jurassic and then scaring Iris. Lockwood remarks that Maisie has her mother's wicked humour, and Maisie looks down at the closed book asking, "Do I look like her?" And Iris gives a bit of a concerned look here towards Lockwood as he replies, "Oh yes, you could be her mirror image," which is our first little clue that maybe something's not right here. But then I suppose too, you always get, being a parent, grandparents or other family members or even friends say, "Oh yeah, the kid looks just like you." So there are familiar traits that sort of go through, sometimes from the mum's side, sometimes from the dad's side. So it probably, without thinking clone, it's probably not really a red flag at the moment with that remark. But and then the camera pans to a model that I'm sure every Jurassic Park or Jurassic fan would want in their bedroom, as Maisie asks, "Did she ever visit the park?" Lockwood replies, "Once, a long time ago," as the camera drops down over the model to reveal the visitor centre and main gates for Jurassic Park. Again, a lot of speculation when this when this was first seen too. Somewhat all the key, not areas or locations, key infrastructure we get in Jurassic Park is here. The layout's a little bit different. Whether they just tried to fit it all onto the one table, or if this was going to be what the original park design was, they would have had the blueprints back in the day and that, and knew what they were going to build. They just didn't know how it was all going to lay out on Nublar.
I'm definitely thinking this is just like downsized to fit on the table,
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, they would have already had ideas on what to make the park look like,
Mm. Yeah, and it's sort of weird that it is straight up the visitor centre. It is straight up the main gates. There's no sort of little inaccuracies here or there to suggest that this is a sort of concept of what the park may be. It is what the park was before its closure. So, but again, it just makes me wonder, why can't someone make Mattel just make a set of Jurassic Park gates? I don't have to pay $400 for a Lego one that resembles more of the Jurassic World gates. I want a set of gates that I can pose me Stomp and Chomp T-Rex or something next to. Or the Explorer set, the Legacy Explorer set, T-Rex Breakout. It'll come eventually.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that they made one for the diorama with the Brachiosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of fans kind of expected to eventually get one after seeing that, but guess not.
Mm-hmm. And I know there's been, I think Entertainment Earth has made a small polystone one. There have been smaller versions of gates. I know a lot of fans, the Jurassic compound behind Collect Jurassic and that are still using a lot of the original Kenner fencing and that, because it's the only real toy fencing we've got, unless you create your own. But yeah, we'll see what happens next year for the 30th. There might be some surprises coming. And on the long time ago, when Charlotte or the mother would have visited the park, we know from Dominion that she was sort of a young adult at the time. No, because she's in the lab as a baby, as a young Maisie child. So Yeah, that's weird. a little bit of juggling around with the timeline there. And also, I wonder too if with the fact that this model park table's still here, it just sort of proves that it wasn't the park that split them up. Otherwise, this would be destroyed. Lockwood would have destroyed this if he didn't want a park to happen or anything like that. But I would have loved more a reveal of it being locked in a room and Maisie come across it, had a dusty cloth over it or something. She pulled it off and seen the park instead of it just sitting here in Lockwood's bedroom as he contemplates what could have been. But that's it for the minutes. Looking over at novel comparisons again, none of this stuff is in the novel at this point. I'll have to check back later on if we return to Lockwood Estate or not, but currently we are still at the Wheatley compound on Nublar as the plane lands, so we'll catch up to that next minute. But Dave, that's it for minute 24. Anything else before we get heavy for the day?
No, I think we're good.